Sooner Scoop HD.
You mentioned after the game some of those pre-snap penalties that hurt you guys during the game. Is that something going into the next week you really put a focus on to try to fix, or is that something that you don't want to put too much emphasis on to over-focus on it?
No, we're going to put a ton of emphasis on it. We talk about playing smart, clean football every single day of the week, and we've got to do that. We got to do a better job coaching it, and again, we've been pretty clean, and then for whatever reason, Saturday evening we weren't, so we got to get it right.
It's the third straight game, kind of struggling coming out of the gate. Any underlying reasoning to it, and can you fix that during practice?
Yeah, I think there's just got to be a heightened sense of urgency with everybody involved, starting with me, about starting faster. We got to do a better job there. You find yourself in a 3rd and 6 or 3rd and 7 situation first drive and don't convert. 3rd and 6 on the second drive, don't convert, and you go back to Nebraska, don't convert on that first one, and then obviously Kent State, struggled early. So we got to start faster. That's the reality of it, and get going and play complementary football, and that'll be a stress for sure this week.
Jeff, now that you've looked at it totally, how well did you guys really play offensively against Kansas State?
Well, we did some really good things. I think, again, still the frustration is in the fact that 5 offensive penalties, and they killed drives. And we found ourselves, we were really bad on 3rd down. We had 5 3rd and 7 plus where we didn't convert a single one. 3 of those 5 were because of pre-snap penalties. 1 of them was because of a drop, and so you look at that and you think, man, you got a chance to be a lot more efficient if those things don't happen. And obviously, again, it's going to start with me and with us, and finding a way to make sure we're playing cleaner and smarter. But did some great things. Like, if you just look from a statistical standpoint, what happened, pretty dang good. But it ain't good enough. We got to play cleaner, we got to play better, and do whatever it takes to go win the football game.
After the game, Jeff, Dylan really made a point of just taking a lot of self-criticism, I guess, on some of the throws he made. You look at his stats; he had really good numbers, but when you look at the film, you see some of the missed passes that really could have broke game, big plays, touchdowns, maybe. What do you tell Dylan? What you see on some of those plays, those missed throws?
Yeah, it's such a fine line, and that's the reality of this game. You step into that arena, you're going to want some things back. And again, I thought he played his butt off. He played incredibly tough. He led. He did a lot of things really, really well. But he's going to want some of those back. He wants a couple of those back. And it's like I said right after the game, I want a couple calls back too. So again, that's the nature of stepping in that arena. We're not going to want him to play perfect. We want him to play perfect, but that's not the reality of the position with everything that we ask him to do. So just continuing to get better and creating a sense of urgency with everybody in that locker room and with us as a unit offensively to make sure we're playing cleaner and cleaning up the penalty part of it. Because again, I think if that's better, we're sitting here and it's a little bit different story.
Yeah, Jeff, I know we've asked you about time of possession before, and obviously that's not just on your side of the ball. But when you see games like Saturday with the really short possessions on your end, and obviously what that does on the other side, do you have to adjust what you're doing, whether it's a tempo or anything else, to try to stretch that out, and whether it's save the defense or just try to grind down defenses on the other end?
No, we didn't feel that way on Saturday night. It was all about taking advantage of opportunities and scoring touchdowns. So that was the reality of it, because of the fact that we go down 14-0, we start the way we do offensively, and we don't help ourselves. Then at that point, you got to take advantage of every opportunity you get, and at that part of the game, it's about scoring touchdowns, and that's what we needed to get accomplished. We didn't score enough of them. That's why it ended up the way it ended up.
Jeff, it's kind of silly, but you acknowledged it Saturday night, having some of that stadium noise. What are some of those internal conversations that you guys have after, when your offense is maybe a bit too fast for your own PA announcer?
Yeah, I think some of those things will get cleaned up, and it's just everybody getting used to how we're playing. But I think that part of it will get cleaned up.
Jeff,
had a couple of high snaps, didn't result in fumbles, anything like that. What does that do for Dylan as far as having that right at the start of the play and your rhythm as far as how fast you want the offense to go?
Yeah, it's not exactly what you want. Obviously, there's a lot of people that take that snap for granted, but we got to be better there. And Dylan made an unbelievable play on B. Will's touchdown, where he's able to get the ball out of his hand, gets hit right in the chin, and handles really a bad snap. But we'll continue to get better at that. Raheem's been really good. Has not been an issue in the past, so we'll make sure that part of it's cleaned up as well.
Jeff, I remember when Philip Montgomery got to Tulsa, they ran a spring scrimmage, and they were out there moving up and down, tempo. And the chain gang couldn't keep up. Chain gang had no idea what was going on. Is that a situation kind of like we're talking about out here with the PA announcer, where he's moving at a certain pace, but you're already way ahead of him? And have you ever come across that before, where your tempo is just too fast?
I think it's just everybody kind of figuring out how we're playing and what we're doing, and everybody getting used to it. And again, I do not foresee that being an issue moving forward. I really don't.
That's all I had in the queue. Any more questions?
In terms of fixing some of the slow start that was addressed earlier, how do you literally go about that at practice, about starting with cleaner, getting more efficient on your opening drive? Is that something you can actually practice?
I think it's heightened awareness because of talking about it, one, and two, me doing a better job of starting the game with a couple of things that are maybe a little more layups for our guys, and getting it going that way. So I think it's two-part, I really do.
Okay, back to James.
Did you talk about TCU, what you see out of them defensively coming into the game?
Yeah, structurally, some similarities to last week, and they've done a nice job of just continuing to grow their depth. Obviously, first year of their system being put in there completely different than what they've been, but you can see on tape, man, total buy-in. Coach Gillespie's got them playing incredibly hard and tough and physical. They've created some turnovers with 4 picks, but a group that's disciplined, that's tough, that we're going to need to be at our best on Saturday morning.
Back in the back, Eddie.
On the 4th and 4 that you guys ended up taking the delay again, is that something that, are you just freaking out up top, where you guys just have to burn a timeout there, or is there something you guys can do, maybe not sub, to allow them to adjust?
Well, the obvious answer is don't sub. Sure. We're trying to get the right people on the field for the specific play that was called. Took too much time. I didn't want to use the timeout because I felt like we were going to be able to get it off, and it was one that was right there on the edge, and ended up getting caught right there. So that was 100%. That was on me.
Let's go back to Eric Bailey.
I want to ask you about Jalil Farooq. I mean, just is it one of those things? I know you're trying to get him the ball in his hands more. Is it just one of those things? Just get him in a flow. You want to get that ball to him a little more.
I tried to get it to him early. Jalil again did some really good things, made the great play down their sideline, and pitched it to him on the reverse the one time, and tried to get him to touch early in the game. But he's a guy that we want to get going, just like a couple of these other guys. But he played well. He'll continue to, and he'll continue to get the ball his way.
Back on the right, Ryan Jackson.
Eric Gray has looked better and better each game. How much more is there left in the tank for him? What more do you see from him as far as continue to improve?
I think there's a lot more. I think he's going to say the exact same thing. I think he's going to want some runs back, or I know he does. From the standpoint of being able to win some one-on-ones, he played incredibly hard. He played well. Just like all of us, man, we can play better. We're going to continue to get better and play better as we go through this thing. But Eric's done a really good job. And again, I foresee that being the case all the way through the year.
Sooner Scoop HD.